All right. We got to talk about it. It's your boy, All Nation. Let the room fill up. Top of the hour. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. You're listening to Nothing But the Bass. To all of the coffee drinkers this morning, we're going to talk about Dak Prescott, of course, and we're going to talk about some of the good stuff with the players signing and what have you. Shout out to my dog, Brian Broadus, for coming out with some good information for the Cowboys, and especially for us to have some insight and some thoughts of what coaches may think and beyond, right? Not saying that he's 1,000% right, not saying that he's 1,000% wrong. We just got to go over everything with a fine-tooth comb. But I come here to tell a lot of people that what happened in 2019 happened in 2019. What love and adulations that some other players may have or may not have for Jace and Garrett is irrelevant, right? It's not something that you need to hold on to. And especially if anybody thinking that this guy right here, Jerry Wayne Jones and Stephen Jones give 2 red cents about what the players feel and think about on their decision. Man, you miss me with that, right? And on top of that, to add the extra spices to it, there's nobody on this particular team that would say, well, I'm not playing because they got rid of my coach. If you do feel that way, and if you do have that mindset, then sayonara, I definitely would not like you to be on this team. Nevertheless, we have to understand that football and for the Dallas Cowboys will always be drama for your mama. Matter of fact, let me play that beat again. Drama for your mama. Turn it up. Hey. Always drama. It's always drama. All right, let's listen in to the great Brian Broadus from 105.3 The Fan on
now
the
for
G-Bag.
Brian Broadus's daily content. Here he is, the former NFL scout, Brian Broadus.
Thank you very much, General. Appreciate that. We had this discussion. We always talk about Dak, but we had that red zone discussion about, whether, what was wrong with Dak? Were there things, and I brought up the point, does Garrett really trust? Did he trust Dak?
Yeah, it's a great question.
Yeah, and so, I had the opportunity. There's several guys I could reach out to, and they were nice enough to get back with me, the guys that would be in the know here and kind of talk about things with us, and, it's okay to share them. So, I asked, I said, why didn't Garrett not trust Dak in the red zone? And one of those guys comes to me and goes, that's news to me. He goes, I never heard that. I've known him not to trust him. I mean, he was like, I was like, oh, really? And he's like, basically said Garrett was Dak's biggest fan and supporter. And he said him and Kitna really were behind him. Especially when Jerry Jones would question him and ask, is he our guy? So, that right there, is telling me that, okay, then, we keep talking about maybe this is the best thing for Dak or maybe the best thing for the Cowboys that Garrett's gone, that kind of thing. But to the quarterback, that necessarily might not be the best thing. So, he was talking again about Garrett and Kitna were really, really behind him. And, as far as I asked him about the play calling, he said he said, I never got the feeling that Garrett didn't trust him with the play calling. That's why they went into that conservation mode and stuff like that. Or they
third most prevalent running team in the NFL inside the red zone.
Right. But my other coach was telling me though that Garrett gave down in the red zone. He said that Garrett would be forceful during the meetings, and then in the practices, what they were doing. Everything else was on Kellen Moore. So
let me pause right here. Really appreciate everybody. That's Brian Broadus from 105.3 The Fan via G-Bag Nation. I want to tell people this right quick. When you are the head coach of the football team, everything is on you. Not some of the things. Everything on you. That's part of your duty, to being able to understand that, hey, this coaching staff reflects me. So if I have I guess somebody who's greenhorn, or somebody who's wet behind the ear, or somebody who don't have the level of experience as relates to Kellen Moore, being his first time being the offensive coordinator, for crying out loud, it's up to the head coach. I used this analogy all through last year. If this is my house, and if I invite Big G, KMT, Joshua, those over here, Jamal, thank those who tuning in, James, everybody, if I invite you over my house and you run up the bill, I cannot send you the bill, KMT. I cannot send you, Joshua, the bill. The buck stops with me. If the kids are running up the bill, keeping the lights on, keeping the water faucet rolling, you see, the energy company does not come to them. Is going to come to me. I ultimately control what's happening in my house. At the end of the day, the deed says Law Nation. It doesn't say KMT. It does not say Joshua or Jamal. It says Law Nation. It does not say your name. So therefore, all of the other stuff with, hey, he was vocal in the meetings, he was vocal doing this, he was vocal during the practice. Dog it, can he be vocal during the game? That's how you win. Coaches matter. I cannot stress this out enough. Coaches go in and they evaluate the situation. They say that, hey, you dropping the ball. I've seen a coach literally say, you know what? Give me the playbook. I will call it. If the ship is going to go down, it'll be on my watch. Nobody else. I think that coach went all the way to the Super Bowl. I think it was Harbaugh, one of the Harbaugh brothers, went all the way to the Super Bowl and ultimately won it because he said that, hey, the inadequacy of the coaching on the aspect of calling the plays is not sufficient enough. Let me do this thing. But let's listen to more of what they have to say. I'm just giving you guys my raw feelings and my raw flavor of this thing. I'm just telling you guys the truth.
Oh, Kellen Moore was the one responsible for the play calling. So if we, this is something now that we need to address. Was it Kellen Moore the one that was being conservative in this mode, or was, because I wanted to blame Garrett for choking Dak's opportunities here. But it sounded like to this coach, coming from this coach, he said, no, Kellen had the opportunity, the freedom to call what he wanted to down in the red zone. So could Garrett, you say forceful, could he have controlled what was on Kellen Moore's menu in those situations? That's what the coach said. He didn't. He said where Garrett stepped in was during practice and during the meetings. That's where, now maybe in the meetings what we're talking about here is that he reminded Kellen, it's like, listen, okay, we need to do this. And Kellen being the first-year head coach, first-year play caller, maybe he's like, okay, I remember what he told me on Tuesday. I remember what he told me on Wednesday. I remember. Maybe the influence wasn't on game day, but during the week while they were making the preparation.
But that influence never would have been that take the ball out of number 4's hands. Right. Garrett was a big believer in him. That's very interesting, and I think, man, it should put pressure on Kellen Moore as a play caller then.
Yeah. This is now, and I asked the question about Dak, and his situation and the kind of relationship. And this was from a couple of different guys. And
hey, before they go into the conversational piece of that, let me just tell everybody, Kellen Moore, the play caller, I didn't like the way he utilized Ezekiel Elliott. I think my dog Okoye, he pointed out when we get to the 30 and the 30-yard line or what have you, some of the plays look kind of quirky, and he got a film session on that. And shout out to my dog, Vacha Lombardi. He's in the house, man. I really appreciate him. Check out his page as well. But my thing is, that is given. Experience explain it all. We have some people like Courtney and D Schiff or Jap. If you guys were like mastering of reading a book on how to swim, right? And you never was in the water and we throw you in the water, half of that stuff that you know about book as it relates to knowing what to do while you swimming goes out the window because now you actually in the water. And what the Cowboys done is they took a rookie offensive coordinator and submerged him in the water and expecting him to do backstrokes, expecting him to swim under the water, expecting him to do all of those things that probably a seasoned veteran coach would do. Now, I will say this, experience is experience. He had to go through some warts, some growing pains, and he improved down the line, although we went 8-8. But that's expectations because you shouldn't expect a rookie offensive coordinator to do things and beyond, to go way beyond their approach. Now, I will say this, just to preface what I'm about to say and contextualize everything for everyone, is this right here. I think in 2018, where were we ranked, collectively speaking, at offense? And how many points did we render a game or what have you? Or we can go to 2017. So I'm thinking that with Kellen Moore, his philosophy and his new skills and his new fresh breath of air, what have you, that there was behold on everybody, I think that we improved. Let me know if I'm lying. Let me know if we was horrible as a collective offense last year opposed to the previous years.
About the relationship that Garrett and Dak had. And he said, this coach told me, he goes, Garrett absolutely loved him. He goes, Dak also loved Garrett because Garrett and Dak bumped heads with Kitna early in this thing when they were kind of getting things together, when Kitna was trying to help him, but he had Garrett would come to his defense, is what he would do. Like
Dak and Kitna bumped heads.
Yeah,
a few times?
Dak and Kitna were bumping heads.
That's a good thing.
And then all of a sudden, now you have Garrett stepping in and saying, "Okay, wait a minute, John. Let's think about it this way." So that was kind of where. I thought it was.
So that maybe that's why Kitna's not around. I wondered why he had so much success.
But the thing about with Kitna though is that with Kitna though, Dak learned so much. Like when coach was telling me, another coach was telling me, when it came down to the stuff. I mean, when it came down to learning and teaching and developing. He says that John Kitna was the real reason why we saw development in Dak Prescott.
All right, so I had to pause it there. I love it. I absolutely love friction as it relates to positive friction. We should never have the good old boy club where everybody is kind of like singing Kumbaya and it's tea in the morning and everybody knows that, okay, this is my spot and I shouldn't, be worried about it and I'm not getting hard, firm coaching, right? I mean, that place shouldn't exist. And if you are a star-studded athlete, I think that you should have run-ins with your trainer. I think you should have run-ins with your coach. Why, Law? Why? Because they pulling something out of you that is needed, basically. I'd never forget my coach when we got toe-to-toe about a certain situation and we didn't agree. And then it took me many of years to realize that, dog, coach was right, And even with life itself, you may think that you know more than your parents. And then when you become a parent, you be like, dog, my parents were right. I love it because what happened here, and I can go all the way back. I remember stories of the Giants when they had Coughlin. I think that's his name, Tom Coughlin. When he first came into the Giants organization, right? A lot of people was like, this coach is crazy. And I think it was Strahan. I think that they didn't like him. They didn't like the fact that he was saying that if you're on time, you're late. And they said, wait a minute, I'm on time. I remember the Giants organization being so upset and angry with him, but not knowing into the future he's installing or he's inputting onto them discipline. He's inserting accountability. And regardless of what we look at it, when you think about the Giants team, they have not been the same since they got rid of Coughlin, what have you. But you can see structure was being built. You see. And when you look at all of those things, it counts. That's why when we looked at Parcells, when he came onto to this team, yes, he had a bad deck of cards. I'm talking about our team now, the Dallas Cowboys. Yes, he was dealt with a bad deck of cards. And remember, the 5-11, the 5-11, the 5-11 team, we was just bad enough not to get the best draft picks. And then on top of that, our draft picks were gone. So we always win just the amount of good games, not to draft well, and lost too many games to go to the playoff. But when he came in, he changed the environment. Coaches matter. Think about it. He was only here for 3 years or 3.5 years, basically 4 years. But he was only here for a small amount of time. But I think that we still made it to the playoff 2 times out of the time that he was here, dealing with the cards that he was dealt with. Can you guys remind me that Quincy Carter won 10 games? I mean, he took a pretty much undrafted quarterback named Tony Romo and was able to get them to the playoffs, ultimately to lose to the crazy Seahawks, But what I'm trying to say is that coaches do matter. Sometimes structures do matter. And I love the fact that John Kitna came in and he probably told Dak Prescott some hard truths. Look, do these mechanics. It will help you out in the long run. And Dak Prescott probably looked at John Kitna and said, oh, hell no, I'm going to do it my way. And then when friction started to happen, then he started to pick up and say, you know what, coach, this position of coach was right. The way Kellen Moore was teaching me was completely wrong, So I love it. And matter of fact, my only reservation is that they got rid of him. They got rid of John Kitna. I wish that John Kitna was still on this roster or still on this coaching situation. But guess what? Newsflash, they still working out, which is some good stuff. They still working out. Shout out to John Kitna. Hopefully we can have him on the late night hype show and we can go over some details. But let's listen to more what Brian Broaders have to say. And as well as from G-Bag Nation from 105.3 The Fan.
I totally believe that, 100%.
He said because the reading the coverages and stuff like that.
The mechanics of the throw, the lower
exactly,
half.
Exactly. So, he was very adamant. This coach was very adamant that Kitna was the one guy that came in and was able to get Dak to at least play at a better or a higher level right there. So I also asked another coach. I said, How do you think it will be do you think that Mike McCarthy will be good for Dak? Okay. This one coach says it depends. Will it be Mike's voice or Nussmeier's voice? Doug Nussmeier is the new quarterbacks coach here, So that whose voice will it be in that meeting room? Because we're talking about Kit changed a lot with Dak, the reading, the coverage and stuff, and that helped him.
It better be Mike's
voice.
So if
Mike is aligned with that, yes.
It better be his
So
voice.
if he's aligned with Nussmeier, Nussmeier maybe he's going to take Dak in a whole nother direction here. Now it could be for the better or for the worse. So that's something to kind of keep an eye on right there. As far as the coach, is McCarthy going to have to step in and tell Nussmeier, this is how I want you to coach him?
Hey, let me intervene again. I don't want it to be Nussmeier. I definitely don't. I'm looking at the way I bring in Mike McCarthy because of his resume. I'm not bringing in Mike McCarthy because what he possibly could do. No, I'm bringing him in because of what he did, with the Joe Montanas of the world, even with the Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, Aaron Brooks. I'm bringing him under those impressions, and I'm sitting there saying, okay, yes, we have a quarterback for the last 4 years, did okay, but I'm trying to get him from being okay to being above okay. I want to get him into those elite categories, whereas that's what you did in the past with these guys. I'm not hiring you to put Doug Nussmeier on the table, I'm hiring you so that you can influence and empower Doug Nussmeier, of course, yes. But I want some of that good stuff. I want to know what you taught Joe Montana. Everything else is allegory. Everything else is not up to par to what I really want. That's where they should have looked at this situation. That's what they should. There's no experimentation. There's no, okay, let's see what Andy can do. Let's see what, let's give it 2 or 3 years and let's develop Ben DiNucci. No. I'm greedy. I want to win now. If I'm Jerry Wayne, look, I said, man, hey, my best years is behind me. I got better years behind me than in front of me. I'm trying to get some of that good stuff now. I can't say that I will be here 20 years from now, 10 years from now, 5 years from now. I need to win now. That should be his mindset, and I'm putting all of the tools in place for you to win. What did you say went sour in Green Bay? Oh, you didn't get a chance to get all of the weapons that you need? No worries. Here's CeeDee Lamb. Oh, no worries. You got Amari Cooper. You never had that over in Green Bay land. Oh, you got a Michael Gallup. Oh, you got Ezekiel, the main man, Elliott, and you got Tony Pollard just for extra spices. So you can't come to me with, hey, this offense can't be efficient. Oh, you can't work with Dak Prescott. Hold up. There's not 5 quarterbacks that got more wins than this guy right now. Work with what you got. Bring me home the cheddar, the cheese. I'm going to let you rip apart this team because here are the keys. Where are the keys at? Here are the keys, baby. You got the keys to the $1 billion playpen. Make it happen. That's what general manager's supposed to do. That's what owner's supposed to go make it happen. I'm going to step out. I'm going to step back. Oh, you want defense? I really like the way our defense. No, okay. You can go pick out any guys you want, right? You can go pick out Mike Nolan. You can go pick out anybody you want because there's zero excuses. This fan base is hungry. They said, I've been the problem. I'm sitting back, and I'm allowing you to do what you got to do. You want a 350-pound Dontari Poe? Go get him. I'm going to step back.
Sometimes, sometimes coaches, the head coach has to coach the coaches. I've learned that through my years of being in the National Football League. If you allow these coaches just to that's what Belichick does. On the field, he is coaching the coaches how he wants his players to perform.
Good stuff,
he's like, hey, teach him this way. Okay, don't think your way is the right way. I want you to teach him this way.
Yeah.
So let's see if Mike McCarthy will be able to install it the way or put it the way that he wants to. Okay.
Give me some more good stuff.
I asked another coach.
You asked all these coaches.
I said, what about Dak? Do you think he wants to be here? And he said, at this point, no, I don't think so. However, he will not say it or show it. The kid is a stud and is mentally strong. So the attitude is that, maybe this is a situation that, with Dak, he's to the point where I don't think that Dak is upset with the coaches. I think that Dak was disappointed that Garrett got relieved of his job is how I'm reading some of this stuff. But
you're lowballing me. You fired my coach. You always had my back.
Right.
And, maybe I'm starting to lose a little bit of faith that you guys are winners.
Yeah.
Do I have all that right? I'm losing faith, kind of like how Aikman has lost faith in the competency of the front office.
Right. See, that's where
Oh my goodness, man! I really don't evolve into like TMZ reporting. Shout out to my dog Brian Broadus. I'm not saying that he's TMZ reporting, and we don't know the name of the coach that he's talking to. It could be to anybody, right? But my thing is this right here. I don't care about your feelings, right? I don't care about your feelings, Dak Prescott. We shouldn't care about his feelings as it relates to you let my coach go. We shouldn't care about that collectively, even if there is a situation with that. Because I recall his movie Baby Boy. You remember when an old boy said, "Girl, I lie to you because I care about your feelings." We don't care about that. We're not trying to make this thing a wholesome situation, whereas we care about each and individual player's feelings. At the end of the day, these guys make more money than we can count or see. I told you guys the other episode that maybe 2 of their game day checks would be my retirement check. It's what I'm working 20 more years for, By the time I retire, I hope and pray that when I open up my retirement funds, and when I investigate all of the stuff that I did, that at least it'd be $1 million, So I can go get me one of those things where I can travel all over the world on the Winnebagos or something like that. But neither here nor there. We care about winning. And at the longest part, this guy, Jason Garrett, was awarded all of the opportunities, every chances to succeed and to plan and also to coach this particular sport. The guy been here collectively 13 years, 10 years as the head coach, or 9.5, however you want to call it. We rounding up over here. So that's a long time to earn your mark on this organization, to prove your opportunity to being able to get us to the next level. Regardless of how you cut it up, regardless of how you look at it, if it takes somebody 13 years to graduate from college, we would be sitting there saying, man, thank God that you graduated. We appreciate you, your struggles, your up and down. But damn it, it was time. It was long enough, It's supposed to be a 4-year program. At the most, we'll give you 5. The brother had 13 years, 3 or 4 to 5 years. Yes, you can say within training. Yes, you can say within the front office and what have you. But somewhere you got to start moving your weight. Everybody can't cry and cry and cry. It's time to move it on, baby. It is time. Let me know where I'm lying.
I think that, to me, Dak, the coaches were talking about, hey, Dak got affected when Garrett was up there after the Redskin game and giving that tearful, these are my guys, they worked hard. He was affected by that. But, and maybe this is, like I said, I think that the more about the front office, I think Dak is more hurt with the front office than he was by, and, we've all kind of talked about, we want to see Mike McCarthy coach and work with Dak Prescott. We want to see him grow. We want to see him get better.
Yeah.
And maybe he can.
Well, I mean, for the way Dak presents himself and the kind of leader, positivity, encouragement, confidence, Garrett was a role model, and a guy that was showing him the way in a lot of those things, and he was a guy that believed in him. So you have a role model and a guy who's been there, done that, seen everything, who truly believes in you. And you're a 4th-round pick. I could see how that relationship would be important, and I think it's a little window into the positives of Jason Garrett. And we looked at him as a generic robot, and maybe to some coaches he was, but because of the way he went about his business, I'm sure he built incredible relationships with at least some of the Cowboys, and apparently Dak was one of them.
Yeah, I feel like that Dak was that the growth that he's had would be, if he had to say, but it's probably because of Garrett and probably because of John Kitna. The fact that he is talented, but that I was worried that the play calling. Now, again, this is something that we need to focus in on another time.
Absolutely.
With Kellen Moore. Was Kellen Moore the reason why? Maybe it wasn't Garrett. Maybe it was Kellen Moore that was the one that was kind of holding things back in the red zone.
It's a given. I love my dog Brian Brothers, and I'm not saying that he's wrong on it. And yes, he's only speculating right here, but it's a given that your rookie offensive coordinator will be lacking experiences on the field. And all I've been saying all offseason is that this particular team, the reason why you go out there and grab a Mike McCarthy, not just because he's Mike McCarthy, but from what he did on his resume, and you input these factors of life. If you're in trouble, if you are in serious trouble, you lean on experience. Mike McCarthy should be like the coach that I alluded to a couple of minutes ago. Should snatch the playbook and say, okay, we're in the money zone, we're in the red zone. From my base of level of experience, these are the plays that work against this particular defense. These are the plays that work against this particular coverage. I'm going to grant you responsibilities to change out of this particular look, Dak Prescott, if we see this many people in the box. I want you to test the outside edges on a fade ball in this particular situation. Oh, we're going to do the end around loop for CeeDee Lamb, or we're going to go into pistol, or we might rotate this thing and go into more of a 12 personnel, depending or depicting on against this particular defense that we're seeing, or we're going to roll out 11, or should be a prime opportunity to get the ball to Ezekiel Elliott at this time. That is what coaches do. They evaluate, they go through all of these things, and they say, based upon my level of experience, I've seen this before. I recall a play that Eric Bieniemy ran against the 49ers, I think in the Super Bowl. And they said, well, how did you come up with that play? He said, well, back 4 or 5 years ago, we was running this particular look against this particular defense. And I could be wrong on the amount of years ago when he said that he ran it. But it's going back to the recall of knowing what you're going to do against a certain set, a defensive front, and being able to practice it and go at it and focus in on it when the opposing defense is showing you that they are weak in covering this particular look, basically. So it's up to coaches too. These people got to understand that it's never an individual. Like I said before, I've seen Trent Dilfer win a Super Bowl. Oh my goodness. We've seen Rob Johnson win a Super Bowl. Brad Johnson win a Super Bowl. Joe Flacco. For the Eagles fan, Nick Foles win a Super Bowl. Oh my goodness.
We'll explore that for sure later on in the show.
Spectrum Mobile is
that
now.
was the end of that particular excerpt or interview, man. I really appreciate everybody for tuning in. I really, really do. Shout out to 105.3 The Fan. Turn them on, leave them on. Be some Tolos out there. It was a good interview by Brian Brothers on G-Bag Nation. Go support their situation over there on 105.3 The Fan. My name is Law Nation, LAW Nation. I do hear of the news of Jamal Adams sullying the waters over there in Jets land, and he's trying to escape purgatory there. He's trying to get off of that particular island and maybe come over to the Dallas land. I will say that sometimes when you throw dirt, you lose ground. Let me repeat, when you throw dirt, you lose ground. I think that he should be in a situation where we see his passion. We see what his determinations are out there on the field. Now, my thing is, I don't think, and I got to talk about Jamal Adams. We love him. We would love to see him with the silver and blue and the star on the side of his helmet and beyond, right? But the reality of it is that the Jets, a lot of times, these billionaires, they don't want to feel like they lost. They don't want to feel like they're in a losing situation. The last place the Jets will allow Jamal Adams to go is to his favorite team. They would rather pretty much trade him within the confines or within the actual division. They would rather give him to the Patriots. They would rather give him to the Miami Dolphins over there or the Buffalo Bills before they give him to where he's want to go. Why, Law? Why? Why would they rather do that? Because they can look at this particular situation and say, if we allow him to win today, then tomorrow it'll be another Jamal Adams trying to win tomorrow. And that's just how it goes. We swash out those situations and we clear it all off and we control the narrative. That's how the billionaires think. That's how they think. And let me know if I'm wrong, Cowboy Nation. I'm going to read some of your comments, man. I got a few more minutes here. Shout out to those that's on my Facebook. Shout out to Joe Tranchina, man. Let me know what time it is over there in Italy. Really appreciate you, DJ Cobb. Jordan, really appreciate you. Big G, shout out to you from earlier. You said, hey, Law. Your videos got too many ads, too many commercials. The best way to get rid of commercials and ads is just watch me when I'm live. I don't control the ads or what have you on my YouTube page because I think I just allow the YouTube algorithm to do its work. So if you see more ads on the video, I apologize in advance, but let's try to join the notifications. I believe if you watch the video up front, you won't get all of those ads, basically. Or you can jump over to my Facebook. My Facebook is ad-free, so that would be another, option that a lot of people can do is jump over to my Facebook page. Most of my content will be on both platforms. That's the best way I can do, but you can always help grow the nation by when an ad come on, just watch them and wait for the skip option, and then you can skip it from there. But that was just a PSA on that part of it. Shout out to you, Tom Jasper. Do you think, this is from Jap, do you think Dak will get paid after this season? Jap, if this season go through, the Cowboys going to wish they paid the brother last year, or they going to wish they paid him at the end of 2018, if you know what I mean. The salary cap, if we just saw the scrimmage game from the NBA, MLB is doing some things. So, and they have more games, by the way, right? So if we can manage to get through 16 games, 20 if you really count the Super Bowl and beyond, right? But if we can manage to get through 16 games that spread apart, I guess, at least within a week, that's the only optimism that we can have. Even with that, with the new coaching staff, with the weapons that we have, and also with the new philosophy as it relates to defense. Boy, I think that the Cowboys, they made a bet, and it's probably be wrong. They probably have to reach deep down in their pockets. I don't see any regressions. From year to year, I look at small things that I wanted Dak Prescott to work on. Footwork, feet, getting his feet right, stepping up through his pocket, going through his progressions. When they take away your number one read, are you bouncing back to your second and third read? And can you read fast enough to go back to your one? You say, are you able to throw the fade ball? So I said at the, I think me, Big Game James, and Sky, we was on the show a couple of weeks ago, and we was going over what are the things that you would like for Dak Prescott to improve on. And I said, hey, I would like for him to improve on that fade ball. I would like for him to go through his progressions a whole lot quicker or faster as relates to the money down, green down, red zone, what have you. I want him to become better in those particular things. And top of it all, to put the cherry on the top, I want him to use those Mississippi State legs, right? So we looked at a picture earlier. Let me see if I can pull it up on my gram, man. I looked at this picture earlier of Dak Prescott. And pull up on my Instagram. I'm on Law Nation's Instagram here. And he looks a little bit leaner, you know. He looks like he can really tote the ball under the Mississippi State arm and get to rolling with the Mississippi State legs. So I want Dak Prescott to improve in those categories, to improve in those areas. Shout out to you, Richard, man. He says, and Joe said it's 5 o'clock where he's at, right? Joe, whenever I hit when I go live, he jumps on, regardless of the time. So shout out to you, Joe. Derek Thomas, different coaches, different year, and a more experience this time. Derek Thomas, shout out to the Thomases, man. We might be cousins. But you're right, DT. You're right. New coaches, new feels, new flavors. Let me repeat. New coaches, new feel, new flavors, right? So we got to look at all of those things, and we have to look at it in those factors. All right, so CD. I think that, you know, when Stephen Jones said Ezekiel Elliott is the straw that stirred the drink, well, I guess the drink will be CD this year because the kid is just crazy good, right? And he signed, he got his paper, he got his bag, he got his money, he got all of that good stuff. And I like that because when I look at his skill set and I look at what he brings to the table, baby, it's going to be hard for these defenses to really say, okay, we're going to just lock in on Amari Cooper Oh, that's okay, Law. We can shut down Gallup with our second and third string. Well, who in the world is going to cover this guy, right? I love what he brings to the table. I do, man. I like the fact that he's hungry, he's humbled in a sense, and he's all about that work action. He's about embracing that 88. Shout out to you, Dallas dog. Really appreciate you so much, man, for tuning in. What's good, Law? This is from Charlie. Shout out to you, Bridges, man. Really appreciate you and Sally Lawyer. I really appreciate you guys for donating and supporting the Cash App and the PayPal, man. Thank you, guys. This show is brought to you by Charlie Bridges and Sally Lawyer. Really appreciate you. Sally is over there on the Facebook group. He says, what's good, Law and Law family? Love your work, passion, and dedication. Salute, King. Appreciate you, man. Thank you so much. Lost a bit of weight. This is what I said. This is from Jordan. Yes. This is all. Look. I tell people all the time, your setback could be set up for your comeback, right? And if you fall, so happen to turn and twist and land on your back, because if you can look up, baby, you can get up. And this Dallas Cowboys team, they hearing all of this news. They hearing all of the rhetoric. And shout out to Dak Prescott, Dak Prescott brother, speaking on his behalf. We know what that is about. You know, let's be real. Let's call a spade a spade. Dak Prescott is venting to his brother. His brother then in return is venting to the world, right? And that is Twitter universe. So, and he's calling out fake news and fake this and fake that because it's emotions involved. Emotions are involved into the situation, which is okay. It's okay. Emotions are good things, in my opinion, as long as you act on them positive and understand that, okay, now it's up to me to change the narrative. Now it's time for me to make them pay, baby. And this notion that Dak Prescott is upset and angry about this front office, they're the last ones you can be mad at now. It's a situation where it's now you got to look at it and say, okay, it's time for me to bet on myself. And last time I was betting on myself when I was making $680,000, I was only making close to $20,000 more than a Rico gathers. Now I got 31 mil in the bank and I'm betting on myself. Oh, I'm finna make you pay. Yes, indeed. Can you imagine going to your job with the upfront advance payment? Yeah. You can feel queasy a little bit about it, but now you got the money in your hand. Now it's time for you to really show up and show out. Shout out to you, man. Son Diggs now, this guy is a special next team. Yeah, Jordan. Yes, I think Diggs will be next. Bobby Curry, really appreciate you. Thank you so much. Says, always love watching your show. Right. I kind of think that you said it in that way. I think drops will be down this year. Lamb catches everything. This is Richard Woodard. Yeah, I agree. J Law, shout out to you, man. Shout out to the Laws, too. Donald, really appreciate you. I can't stand the Sooners, but Lamb is a beast. Donald, put down who's your college team. I like the picture that Dak posted on his Instagram of Tad and him fishing. Say thanks for having you back. Yes. Let's go to his Instagram. Let's go to this right here. Is it Tad Prescott? Prescott. And let's go. That ain't Tad Prescott. What is his username? Let's go, Tad. See if we can find anybody like that. He must have put it down. Is it on Dak Prescott page? We'll go to Dak Prescott page. How about that? Let's go. Dak. Yeah. Bam. Here we go. Hey. Okay. What else you got, Dak? His brother, man, they look like twins almost, right? Look like twins. There's a big old fish there, boy. Yes, indeed, man. That's what I'm talking about. Country, Wayne, and things. All right, so Cowboy Nation, I really appreciate everybody for tuning in. Thank those who follow this page. Thank those who subscribe. I really, really, really appreciate everybody for tuning in. Don't forget to hit that like button. Share this content. Let a friend, neighbor, folk know where to go when they want to tune in to Cowboys Sports Talk and beyond. I really think that we really need to look at this thing and say to ourselves that the Dallas Cowboys should be different than what they were last year, the year before then, and the year before that, and beyond. We can look at this team and have our preconceived notions of what's going on with the front office. We can be angry and upset with Jerry Wayne Jones, right? And Steven, you can put him into the mix. Charlotte, you can put her in there too. And Jerry Jr. Who else? Is it any other Joneses that I'm missing out or leaving out, right? But at the end of the day, it's about lining them up and lacing them up, right? We got to get out here and we got to make sure this thing happen the best way possible. I understand that news media got to have their clicks. They got to really pull apart this team and poke and pry against this team. And trust me, the Chiefs and any other team that previously won the Super Bowl, they could just sit back and relax. They don't have to get answered the crazy questions. They can go out there and say, okay, yeah, we are a dynasty in the making. You know, that's what the Chiefs said. They're going to get 7 Super Bowl rings. They're going to get 5 Super Bowl rings. But the world turns on you when you start winning, right? When you are successful, the world begins to hate on you. And you got to overcome that. You got to overcome the officials. You got to overcome the gambling community. You got to overcome so many things like the extra scrutiny. And they thinking that they can get away with that. Now, trust me, we've seen for multiple years that the Patriots were able to do that. But they went on a hiatus too. Although they won 3, I think they went on like a 7-year span where they didn't do anything and then they started back winning, right? But they had to have a strong nucleus, and that strong nucleus was Bill Belichick, you know, or you can say Bill Belichick, right? You know, but they had to have something strong. And I think that with this particular organization, the Dallas Cowboys, we need to start developing something strong. We need to not sip on the tea. We need to not sip on the Kool-Aid. We need to not read our own press clippings. We need to go out there and say, now we got something to prove. Like Lil Baby says, I got something to prove. I wish I can play the song because it's like one of my number 1 songs out there. You know, Lil Baby, when he says something to prove, I got something to prove now. You know, everybody counted me out. Everybody is feeling a certain ill way about me on certain things, right? Now it's time for me to prove everything that what I can do and what I can put out there to the ether. Let's continue to grind. I really appreciate you guys. Thank everybody for tuning in again. Let me play my outro music. Y'all give me some fire, baby. I need to get some fire. I need to see some fire around this thing, man. Y'all know. I'm blowing some fire right now, baby. Now I just need to turn up my music. Let's go. Let's go with it. Yeah. Hey. They say a prize fighter, even when he's falling, even when he's down, he's continuing to throw those blows, right? He's continuing to figure out where your weak spot at. Oh, you got a weak jaw? I'm going to work on that jaw, right? Oh, you got me back to the ropes? Now I got to navigate my way out of this thing. And the best way to do is keep life in front of you, right? It's the reason why your rearview mirror is smaller than your front window, right? Because we only supposed to glance at the rear, right? We only supposed to glance at our past. But our future is ahead of us. I always say when there's hope in the future, there's power in the present. And right now, baby, we got power, baby. Everybody talking about Big D. Everybody talking about Dallas. Everybody got something to say. But it's up to these players, the 55 on the active day roster, whatever it may be now, right? Or the 65, whatever it may be. The practice squad is included. But we have to make sure that we ready to fight, Cowboy Nation. Shout out to you, Nova. Really appreciate you.
Fire, 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 fire. You the man, Law.
You turn it off for that. Hey. Hey. I hope you got your coffee, Cowboy Nation. I got mine. As you guys can tell, I'm crunk about it, right? This coffee feels good. But write this down. Write this down, because you guys know I'm going to say it. I say it all the time. When you're up against the struggles, meet it squarely face to face. Lift your chin, set your shoulders, plant your feet, and take a brace. When it's vain to try to dodge it, do the best that you can do. Black may be the clouds about you, and your future may seem grim, but don't let your nerve desert you. Keep yourself in fighting trim. If worst is bound to happen in spite of all that you do, remember, running from it will not save you. See this thing through. Even hope may seem but futile, but then wit, trouble may be beset. Remember, you're facing what other legends have met. Keep your head high, eyes through the finish. See this thing, Cowboy Nation. See this thing all the way through. It's right there. Just go and grab it. Let's grab hold to the things that we can. Let's change the narrative right now. Let's continue to grind and shine, baby. That's been my time. I really thank you all for yours. And remember, you're listening to nothing but the best.